Welcome to another hot topic in business technology news you can use. This podcast is powered by Into Communications. Let's join the conversation now.
Okay, let's dive right in. If you're involved in hiring, especially B2B, you know it feels like a constant battle, right? For talent and the old ways, just posting on job boards, they just aren't cutting it anymore.
No, they're really not. And that article you shared, the one on recruitment marketing strategies, it really nails this challenge.
Yeah.
It shows how, easily your listing gets lost in all that noise, how descriptions all sound the same, and frankly, how hard it is to actually stand out.
Exactly. So you end up with this flood of applications that, well, aren't a great fit, or maybe worse, just crickets, zero response from the people you really want.
Right. And the source argues that's because you're competing on perception, fundamentally, on whether someone can genuinely picture themselves working at your company. And without that compelling employer brand, attracting the right people is incredibly difficult.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive then, how can we take these proven marketing ideas and actually apply them to hiring? Solve this problem. How do you make your company somewhere that top talent actively wants to be?
Well, the article suggests a pretty fundamental shift, moving away from just, posting jobs and screening, to proactively building a brand that pulls candidates in, almost like you attract customers.
So let's unpack this a bit. What exactly is this recruitment marketing they're talking about?
At its core, the source defines it as simply using marketing strategies, but specifically aiming them at attracting talent.
Okay.
They call it employer branding in action. So it's about consistently communicating your culture, your values, the real opportunities. At every single point, a potential candidate might interact with you.
Every touch point. So it's really about building that desire to work there, almost like building desire for a product.
Exactly.
Which I guess begs the question then, why aren't those traditional job board methods working so well for B2B anymore?
Well, the source makes a really key point here. Job boards, they can bring volume, sometimes lots of volume.
All right.
But often it's not the quality you need.
Yeah.
Your listing is just, one tiny fish in a huge sea.
Lost in the crowd.
Totally. But maybe even more important is that the most qualified people, they usually aren't actively searching every single day. They're already employed. But they are watching, they're observing companies, kind of keeping an eye out for the right thing. So you need to capture their attention and build that awareness long before they even think about hitting a job board.
Okay, so you're nurturing them, almost like a sales lead. That makes sense. And here's where it gets really interesting. The source actually compares this whole process to a sales funnel.
They do, yeah. They map out the candidate journey through these stages: awareness, interest, consideration, application, interview, and offer. And it's all about guiding them smoothly through it. Think about it. Maybe someone becomes aware through, say, a social media post.
Then they move to interest, maybe check out your website.
Exactly. And if you've done your job building that brand impression, that feeling, by the time they actually get to the application stage, they already feel some familiarity, maybe even a connection.
Right.
And that smoother path, it just reduces friction. It helps you attract people who are genuinely excited, not just applying everywhere.
The article gives some pretty concrete tactics, too, for these different stages.
Sure.
What really stands out to you as, crucial?
Oh, definitely the careers page.
Yeah.
The source puts a huge emphasis on this.
Okay.
It's not just a list of jobs anymore, or it shouldn't be. It needs to be dynamic. It needs to showcase your mission, have photos of real employees, maybe some testimonials.
Peel people.
Yes. Details about growth, the culture. Make it engaging. Make sure it works on mobile. Keep it updated. It's often the first serious stop for a candidate, and it absolutely has to make them want to click apply.
And social media. It's not just for lead gen in the B2B space anymore then.
Not at all, according to the article. It's vital for building that employer brand, sharing the actual life inside the company. Team wins, employee spotlights, maybe some behind-the-scenes stuff.
Like what it's really like.
Exactly. Use it to reinforce your values. If you say you value collaboration, show teams actually working together. It gives potential hires a feel for the place before they even apply.
They also brought up video content.
Yeah, and the source argues, pretty persuasively, I think, that hearing directly from employees, in short, genuine videos, that's far more powerful than just reading a description.
I can see that.
Showing the workspace or team dynamics, it adds this crucial layer of authenticity.
And this focus on the whole experience, it even extends to post-interview follow-up.
This is a really key point the source makes, yeah. Thoughtful follow-up, personalized notes, maybe even sharing some relevant company news after the interview process is
And
done.
if they didn't get the job?
Especially then, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A positive experience regardless of the outcome. It builds your reputation. It encourages referrals down the line. It fosters trust. You want people who interviewed to speak highly of you, even if they weren't hired.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what's fascinating here, you touched on authenticity, is how much the source stresses consistency.
It's absolutely critical. The article really hammers this home. Your external employer brand must match the internal reality.
Okay.
If your careers page talks about flexibility, but your actual policies are super rigid, candidates see right through that.
Yeah.
And the source suggests that kind of inconsistency isn't just ineffective, it actively damages your credibility.
Ouch. Worse than having no brand at all, maybe.
Potentially. And how do you know if it's consistent? They say, well, ask your current employees. They know the truth.
And they argue aligning HR and marketing is, like, non-negotiable for this to work. Why is that connection so crucial?
Well, think about it. HR understands the hiring process inside and out, right?
Right.
They know the candidate journey. They know where people are dropping off.
Hmm.
And marketing. They excel at storytelling, at targeting specific audiences, creating compelling content. The source makes a really strong case that when these two teams collaborate effectively, hiring stops being just reactive.
Filling seats.
Right, and becomes a strategic advantage, something that directly contributes to business growth. But they need to share data, work towards the same goals.
Right, sharing data. Speaking of which, what kind of metrics does the source suggest actually tracking here?
They recommend looking at things like where your applicants are actually coming from.
That's
Is it
cool.
social? Referrals, your careers page.
Source of hire, basically.
Yeah, but also track time people spend on the careers page.
Yeah.
Identify those drop-off points in that recruitment funnel we talked about. Use metrics like time to hire, sure, but also maybe application to interview ratio or engagement on your recruiting content. Use that data to keep refining the strategy.
Okay, so when you pull all this together, attracting passive candidates, aligning the teams, tracking results, the article seems to land on one kind of core idea right at the very end.
It does. And this raises a really important question, I think. Ultimately, the source concludes that, all the best recruitment marketing in the world, it can't fix a poor company culture. It's only truly effective when it reflects a genuinely positive reality inside the company. Investing in your current team, things like clear communication, real career paths, fostering innovation, that's actually the most powerful recruitment tool you have.
Because people want to work somewhere that's thriving.
Exactly. And when your people are thriving, your content will naturally reflect that, and good candidates will feel it. It becomes authentic.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from, the real pain points of traditional B2B hiring to applying these marketing principles, showcasing culture, measuring results.
Yeah, and if we connect this back to the bigger picture, the source makes it crystal clear that recruitment isn't just some administrative HR function tucked away somewhere.
Not anymore.
No, it's a vital strategic marketing campaign, absolutely essential for competing for talent today, especially in B2B.
So here's a final thought for you to consider, kind of building on this deep dive. If, as the article really strongly suggests, recruitment marketing works best when it authentically mirrors the actual employee experience, does focusing on the marketing first maybe encourage or even force companies to improve that internal reality? Or does the reality absolutely have to come first for the marketing to have any genuine impact at all? Something to mull over as you think about applying these ideas yourself.
Thanks for joining us. To learn more about our holistic marketing approach to managing your business, please visit us at intocommunications.com. That's intocommunications.com.